2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, you're darn right. It's the Voice of Reason. Hey, welcome into the show. It is a post-Monday celebration. Thanks for hanging out with us today. It's going to be a big show I am really excited about today, as it is Tuesday, the greatest day of the entire week. Welcome into the show, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. I think we're back up on Facebook Live, as that's been a struggle the last couple of days, so you can tune in there. We are on, let's see, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Minds.com and Parler.com, also on the website at HooserReason.com as well, so you can find us pretty much anywhere that you want to find us on at the interweb, radio, and TV. Doesn't really matter where you're at, all over the nation. Big news coming out today, so we have conflicting reports. Go imagine. The media saying again, still, the election's over. It's all done. Donald Trump just needs to wrap it up, pack it up, and head on home. Joe Biden working on his cabinet, as we mentioned yesterday, with the all-female press team, because he's really excited about being around women, apparently. He can't be around children anymore. See what we did there? That was funny. That was funny. That was a joke, by the way. So he's working on his team. He is also coming out with his agenda for the first 100 days on what he's going to do. Every president loves to have their first 100-day agenda with the executive orders, with the bills that they're going to propose. They're working on massive, quote-unquote, stimulus for the coronavirus relief packages that evil Donald Trump has not done. Although I will say that Donald Trump's been trying to do it, and it's funny how the Democrats don't want him to do it, so they'll block it when he's in office, but they're ready to work on it when Joe Biden's in office. I find quite ironic there. It really shows that they're really caring about you and I, right? So we'll get to that here in a little bit. We have the latest when it comes to the investigations on the election. AG Barr coming out with a statement completely in contrast with what Donald Trump just mentioned today a little bit earlier as well. We have some updates on the Dominion system and more. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we do have Thomas Carroll. He is the editor at Cannabis Capitalist. Yes, and many of my listeners love to talk about this issue. So we'll talk about cannabis. We'll talk about the marijuana here in a little bit and where it's at in the nation. And as more states continue to legalize it in some form or another, is that the new industry to look towards? Is that the new money maker that many states are looking at in their region? So we'll get that here in just a little bit as well. I have to admit, though, that it's been a productive day. I've been extremely busy today. I had a lot on my plate, and I got a lot done, and I felt productive, but I'm kind of tired today, and which is not a bad thing. And you can totally hear the sound of it here on the show, right? Because we bring it. We bring it for you every day, no matter how tired I may be, baby. We amp it up with the energy drinks and do what we have to do because, by golly, we have a lot to get to. But I never thought I would be the one waking up the family in the morning. No, I am not a morning guy. For those that used to listen to my show when it was on the local station here in Wichita in the mornings from 6 to 9 a.m., having to get up at like 4:30 or even 4 to be at the station between 4:30 and 5 to do show prep and get ready last minute before the show that started at 6. That was a hard thing for me. I'm not a morning guy. I've never been a morning guy my entire life. I despise early mornings. Life does not begin for me before like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's when I'm liking, at least if my opinion, I could get rolling out of bed by about 8 o'clock. I'd be totally happy. Now I'm at the station by about 8 o'clock, so it's not bad, but it's still more so than what I'm used to. I'm not a morning person. I never have been. And I did the morning show for like 4 years here in this market. So even then, still not a morning guy. And they were the only ones. My wife loves mornings. She's all about it. She's the one at 5 a.m. She likes to grab the coffee, kind of get moving for the day, kind of get me going, get the little one going. And she's the one that's up and at it with her saying the most productive hour of the entire day is that 5 o'clock hour. I can't do that. I despise that. I've always wanted the evening slots like we're on now on the radio. This makes me very happy. But lately, I have been the one getting up early at about 6 and trying to get the ball rolling out the door by about 7-ish to get here to the station and start working on some stuff. And with the Mrs. Voice of Reason not feeling the best, we're still kind of getting on the tail end of the flu. I've been feeling great, feeling better lately. She's on the tail end of it. The little one didn't get it, which makes me think maybe it was COVID because usually she's the one that's the mass spreader. Thanks, little kids. And you wiping your snot everywhere. But she actually didn't get sick this time, which is very strange to me. So maybe we did have COVID and it just didn't affect. Oh, wait a second. The little ones. Which, by the way, did you see Anthony Fauci now? Dr. Fauci, the one that's supposed to head everything up on this COVID-19 crap. He's now come out and said that it's okay for children to go back to school. After the election, after all the pandemic, now that the vaccine's about ready to come out, you know what? It really doesn't affect children a whole lot. There's not been one case of a death of a child due to COVID-19 where COVID-19 was the sole thing that the child died from. Not a single case in the U.S., but yet we canceled schools. We're doing the full remote. We have 6-year-olds like my little voice of reason that's been doing the remote learning because, they don't want to spread it at school, even though children aren't susceptible to COVID-19. But it doesn't matter. Now, after the election, Dr. Fauci, I guess we can actually have the kids start going back to school now. Doesn't really matter because most of the schools are still doing virtual learning until at least through the holiday break, through the winter break. So we'll see what happens come the second semester. I just thought that was ironic. But anyway, so I get up in the morning, now that I've sidetracked myself, get ready, get all showered, get ready to go for the day. And I'm waking up Mrs. Voice of Reason, getting her going for the day. She's still coming off the NyQuil that makes you very drowsy in the morning. She's slow moving. Then I go to my little one. Now, this is payback. Because, as you know, if you've been a parent, if you've been a grandparent, you know that when they're 2, 3, 4, or 5 years old, they love to be up early in the morning. 5 a.m., poof, they're ready to go, baby. They don't let you sleep in. They wake you up at 6 a.m. Mama, Dada, I'm hungry. Mama, Dada, I need to go potty. Mama, Dada, I'm hungry. Mama, Dada, I'm up. Mama, Dada, well, let's do this. Mama, Dada, let's do that. And they jump in the bed, and they crawl around, and they fidget, and they just can't sit still. Now she's starting to sleep in a little bit more. So now I have the duty in the morning, and I have been, because at least lately when Mrs. Voice of Reason has been sick, but I like to get up, and I've been getting her up, and then I go up, and before I leave, I've been going into Little Voice of Reason's room, and I've been rubbing her awake, and I time to wake up, and all right, let's get you going. And she goes, all right. I said, I got to go to work to do now. All right, Dad, I love you. Bye. And she goes, all right, night-night. No, wait, night-night. What are you talking about? Time to get up. Time to get up, get moving. So now it's payback because all the times that she woke me up early in the morning on my days off after waking up at 4 a.m. during the week with my morning radio show over the last few years, and now I get to sleep in a little bit, and then she tried to wake me up. It's payback now. So nowadays, I think I'm going to do something in the mornings to where if she doesn't wake up with me, then, cups of water, ice cubes, kind of going down that road. What do you think? Kind of find a way. Or maybe I should jump on her bed and go, Isla, I got to go potty, and then run out of the room. I'm just saying. I mean, we need to do something for the children because why not? It's for the kids. Got to make them up the right way. Welcome into the show. We got a lot to get to today. Let's see what's trending today. What do you say?
What's trending today?
All right, so we have conflicting reports right now between what Donald Trump is reporting and what the Attorney General Bill Barr is saying. Now, I'm somewhat of a fan of Barr, although he doesn't have a whole lot of get-go to kind of get up and get that fire burning in that seat to actually make things happen. He's a smart guy. He's been somewhat of an ally to President Donald Trump, but at the same time, he doesn't have a lot of to kind of get up and go. He's kind of a slow-moving kind of dude. President Trump said, according to Mediaite.com, that the recount and the runoff races for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia are not needed and that he called them off. According to the report, President Donald Trump seemed to demand the upcoming Senate runoff election in Georgia to be called off. Quote, do something, Brian Kemp, which, by the way, all the listeners in Georgia, I know we have some. I know that's where Mark Walters on American Radio is, where we jump on his show quite a bit, and he's based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Brian Kemp, everybody was excited because he beat Stacey Abrams, the crazy left-wing progressive wackadoodle down there in Georgia. But he's kind of a moderate Republican from what it seems like. I don't live in Georgia. I don't know much about him other than the fact that, hooray, everybody was excited that he won. But is he really doing what he really needs to do down there, especially now that he's said that the votes are certified, everything's hunky-dory with the election, everything's great, and not trying to look into fraud in any way, shape, or form. Donald Trump tweeted, do something, Brian Kemp. You allowed your state to be scammed. We must check signatures and count signed envelopes against ballots, then call off election. It won't be needed. We will all win, with all the capital letters. Now, this is coming after the exact same day that, according to the Associated Press, we see Bill Barr come out, and Attorney General William Barr said today that the Justice Department has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. His comments in the interview with the Associated Press came despite President Donald Trump's repeated baseless claims, that mainstream media that's talking there, that's fair and balanced and totally not biased in any way, shape, or form, the baseless claims that the election was stolen. Trump's effort to subvert the results of the 2020 presidential election and his refusal to concede his loss to President-elect Joe Biden. That's the Associated Press. That's not me talking. So we have Bill Barr that's saying, there's not widespread voter fraud. We can't find anything. Donald Trump saying there's massive voter fraud and call off the election because we're not even going to need it anymore. Conflicting reports. So the big question is, who do you believe? Do you believe the President of the United States or do you believe the Attorney General? I guess we just have to wait and see how it unravels. I keep saying this, and I'm going to continue to keep saying this, that I think the only way we are going to win this is not going to be with Rudy Giuliani's case, is not going to be about trying to say because we weren't able to watch the ballots be counted and verified, therefore they're illegitimate, therefore we need to throw them out. That's not going to win us the election. Bill Barr doing the investigation. Now, by the way, Bill Barr sent 2 Department of Justice investigators out to the nation and said, have at it. You have 14 days or 10 days or whatever he gave them to actually get this done. And he gave them to beginning of December. Guess what? It's now the beginning of December, and they came back and said, yeah, we found a little bit here and there. Obviously, there's a little bit of stuff going on, but nothing to change the election. The only way we are going to win this, mark my words, is when it comes to the Dominion voter system. There's always been the dead people voting. There's always been the fraudulent mail-in ballots voting. There's always been the organizations like Acorn trying to register illegal aliens. There's always been those organizations trying to get people to move to states to be able to vote in the new state or to vote in numerous different states. There's always been people that vote last minute. There's always been the ones that wait to the last minute to try and register on the day of to vote. There's always been that. Is it an issue? Yes. Do we need to clean it up? Yes. Is it going to affect the election? It probably could in this one. But we're not going to find enough of it with hard evidence to prove it. Rudy Giuliani says he has it. If he does, all the power to him, and you can surprise me, and I'll be totally happy, and I'll love you to death if you do it. But to me, the only way we are going to win this is to prove the widespread voter fraud based on the Dominion system with the servers that were in other countries, that were produced in other countries in Venezuela, that had the intent to be hacked so that way they could rig elections, and the servers that were hosted in other places that with people that could plug into USBs and be able to alter the election results as they went along. The show of the injected numbers throughout the night on election night for the voting system. That's the kind of stuff that's going to win us this election. Then we saw the information from Lynn Wood, or Lynn What's-His-Face, the other attorney that's working on this as well, talking about how the Dominion voter system was bought for back in the early October, just a couple months ago, for $400 million by China. Now think about that for a second. We have a Chinese government that we have accused Joe Biden of colluding with because he's received millions of dollars, him and his family have, with China, with Ukraine, with all these other nations. And then China, who despises Donald Trump, by the way, because he's been so harsh on them when it comes to tariffs and trade nationwide and for the last 4 years, that they all of a sudden buy with $400 million, which apparently we have the receipts for and we have the money tracking to the head corporate CEOs of Dominion coming from a Chinese bank or Chinese government to his bank. And they purchased the Dominion system and had access to it live on the night of the election. Again, speculation, but according to the attorneys for Trump, that's the latest news that's been leaked into the public. What does that mean? We'll talk about that when we come back here on The Voice of Reason on a Tuesday. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching or listening. We appreciate you very much on all these sites. Your Millennial General reporting for duty today. Listener on Facebook. Why even have an election if we know that it's rigged and we do nothing about it? There's no arrest. There's no type of exposure on the corruption. You're absolutely right. Again, I told you. Like I said, the only way we're going to win this, the only way we're going to show exactly what happened is if the Dominion system is rigged and we have evidence of it, and we don't go through the regular courts. We don't go through the Supreme Court at the state level or even the federal level. We don't do it that way. The only way we do this is when we get the military involved. Look, if the Dominion system is created in Venezuela, is held in Germany and Spain, is owned by China, and has financial ties to individuals here that want to rig the election for Donald Trump, then the only way this is going to be taken care of is when the military steps in and they say that we have domestic or international interference, foreign interference in our election. We arrest everybody that was involved and we try them in military court. The civil courts are not going to work. The Supreme Court is not going to work because politics can always be played. Politics can be infiltrated into the system. It can be manipulated by the media. It can be manipulated by the politician. We don't need any of that. We need the military to get involved, the military to arrest everybody, the military to do the trials, and for us to say, we're not going to have foreign interference in our election. This is what's going on, and we set it straight because the army or the military is going to have the opportunity and the power actually to do that. Nobody else. So that's really the only way this is going to work. If we continue to file lawsuits into different district courts, that's cute, but what the heck's that going to do? Depending on the politics of the judge, they can look at it, they can dismiss it. We have AG Barr that's like, we don't have any type of voter fraud going on. Give me a break. So, and look, I mean, if that's the case, then you're right. This is why this election is so important, because we know voter fraud happened. We know widespread voter fraud happened. It's common sense. When you have someone that doesn't have any energy, when you have someone that can't turn out 12 people to a rally, when you have someone that doesn't remember what color T-shirt they're wearing, when they have someone that the party doesn't even like because they're not progressive enough, and yet all of a sudden they win more than what Barack Obama got, they won more than what Donald Trump got, which on polar opposite sides of the aisle, but yet very populist, very exciting, very celebrity-style candidates, both Barack Obama and Donald Trump, whichever one you agree with or like. Both of them had very popular movements. Joe Biden does not have a popular movement, but all of a sudden he got 80 million votes. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So we know something's going on, and you're right. If we don't fight for this election, then there's no point for an election thereafter because they will always be able to rig that election thereafter. Then you have, which the media, of course, tries to twist things the way that they always do, but Sidney Powell, the attorney for Donald Trump, was on Sean Hannity just a day or so ago talking about some of the latest that was going on, and Hannity made an interesting comment that I don't think we need to do, but he likes to CYA, so to speak, and this is what he had to say.
You know, I watched Andrew Weissman come out and literally say, Biden's AG needs to go after Donald Trump. And I'm like, the president out the door needs to pardon his whole family and himself because they want this witch hunt to go on in perpetuity. They're so full of rage and insanity against the president. I mean, can the president, I assume that the power of the pardon is absolute and that he should be able to pardon anybody that he wants to.
It is absolute. It's in the Constitution. I don't know about his authority to pardon himself, but it should not be necessary. And aside from that, the president's going to get another 4 years in office to finish the job he started because the election fraud we are uncovering is massive. And There were foreign actors involved in our system, people from Germany and Serbia and China.
All right, so we can get into the rest of that, but wanting to pardon himself and everybody in his administration and his whole family because they're going to try and continue to go after him if Joe Biden becomes president, and trying to have the new AG, whoever that may be, try and come after President Donald Trump and his family. There's no reason. What did they go after him for? What could they go after him for? I guess you can try that, but give me a break. But now even Sean Hannity, just pardon everybody. Pardon everybody before you leave office. That way they can't come after you. What for? And doesn't that just admit guilt? Let's fight this. Fight it. Tooth and nail. It's not going to happen. We're not going to allow this kind of stuff to go after the good guys when the good guys absolutely didn't anything wrong. Kind of weird. Thomas Carroll coming on the show after the break. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast, Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be. upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners, and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Tuesday, the post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. I know. It's a hard one to get through sometimes, but you made it, so welcome into that, and let's enjoy a little bit, shall we? Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. That's what we do here, radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Parler.com and on Minds.com at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com, also on the handle at HooserReason for all of these social media. We'll continue that conversation when it comes to the election fraud, all that good jazz. Some people not agreeing about the military trials. Interesting. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But I want to shift gears for just a little bit and see what's trending today.
What's trending today?
And it's a topic that I know a lot of individuals like to talk about. I think it's kind of interesting. So where are we at nationwide when it comes to this issue? And did the elections nationwide change anything? I'm excited to have on the program. He's the editor of the Cannabis Capitalist. He's also the senior analyst at Stansberry Research. It's Tom Carroll with us today. Tom, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Hope you guys are good, too.
Yeah. Happy post-Thanksgiving to you. Hope it was a great one. I appreciate you coming on here very much. Cannabis, it is... now, look, I came from the state of Colorado originally, just a few years ago, where they have gone crazy with the cannabis issue. Now I'm in Kansas, to where they haven't quite gotten on board with it yet, but all of the surrounding neighboring states have done so. And I know more states continue to loosen up some rules and regulations on the cannabis issue. This last election, how did it fare for individuals wanting to promote and legalize marijuana across the nation? Did they do well, or did we take a step back?
Oh, they did quite well, and I think some of your listeners have probably seen all over the place. We had 5 states that had some type of legal cannabis program on the ballot, and all 5 approved them. Wow. So Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, South Dakota, and Mississippi. 4 of those were for adult use. Mississippi came in for medical use. So as the tagline has been reading, it was really a green sweep at the ballot box here just a couple weeks ago.
That's really interesting. Now, what type of legalization are we talking about? Is it just like the medicinal only? Is it just recreational for anybody to use? I mean, how extreme or how not extreme are some of these states going?
Yeah, so 4 of those states, Arizona, Montana, and New Jersey and South Dakota, approved the full state for adult adult legal use of cannabis that will either be sold through a dispensary, either earmarked as maybe medical in the past, but it will be opened up now, and it'll be there'll be an application process, and anybody can sign up and buy product.
At some point, do you think the states that are trying to hold off and not do this, is it just going to be pretty much irrelevant because it's going to be around them? So like Kansas, I mean, we have Nebraska that's working towards it, Oklahoma. They have like a medicinal, but there's really no regulation on what that medicinal is. So pretty much anybody can get a green card. Everybody's starting to grow it out in the fields. I mean, Missouri's starting to do it, Colorado, obviously. So Kansas is kind of its own little island here. Which, I mean, we have listeners all over the place, but, I mean, Kansas is kind of that example. At some point, when does it become obsolete to try and fight it because there's just too much of it around, you can't contain it or control it?
Well, you make a great point, and I think we are really, really close to that position right now. In fact, if I could highlight New Jersey, I think that's the real big takeaway out of the election for cannabis this election season. New Jersey and the whole Northeast kind of already had legal medical programs, but New Jersey is the first one to go adult use, and I think that's going to make the surrounding states, very populated, densely populated area, it's going to make them think twice about if they want to give up tax dollars and jobs to one state, one neighboring state, when they could be enjoying all of those tax dollars and jobs today, which, as you know, states are in dire need of right now.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I think a lot of them are looking towards other resources to find some tax revenue coming into their states. We're talking with Tom Carroll, editor of Cannabis Capitalist, also senior analyst at Stansberry Research. You can find them online, stansberryresearch.com, also on Facebook as well. Let's talk about Colorado for a second. As I mentioned, I came from the state of Colorado right about the time, just shortly after they had legalized it, and they've gone so far into it to where, I mean, they had almost 1,000 people a month moving to the state. They wanted to start the business. They wanted to use the product. I mean, it was just a swarm of individuals, and as much as I love Colorado, I can't go back there anymore just because there's way too many daggone people and it drives me nuts. But the tourism there, the business that was there with the grow houses, with what they've done for the state, do you think that's that bubble's going to kind of pop in that dependency on that much tax revenue in the state of Colorado? Because now that other states are doing it, it's not that as much of a sexy issue per se in Colorado, so they're not going to get as much of the tourism. They're not going to be buying nearly as much in Colorado. And do you think that maybe they overinflated the industry now that other states are beginning to do this?
Yeah, I think you raise a good point, but I also think that Colorado is a state where, they started early on, and it really represents what a more mature legal cannabis market looks like, right? Not only from an adult use perspective, but medical as well. And I think a lot of other states are looking at Colorado and saying, look, Colorado's generated, over $1 billion in tax revenues for the state, over the last, I want to say it was like 8 years. I think I saw that figure. So that's nothing to sneeze at. Those are real dollars.
Sure.
And I think from a competitive standpoint, you're right. I think Colorado is probably going to be the place to go. If like you see brew pubs and craft breweries pop up, Colorado might be the absolute place to go for adult use craft cannabis, if you will. I mean, there's absolutely a market out there for that. But if you don't want to go to Colorado, you're going to have options to go elsewhere now as well.
Sure.
But it's not just Colorado. I think that drives business. It's not just cannabis in Colorado that drives tourists there. So that certainly helps. But I think Colorado's going to be just fine.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and they were kind of the guinea pigs, kind of work out some of the kinks. I've been accused on this show from some listeners of not being an advocate for legalization of marijuana, which I'm not. I just want it done the right way. I don't like how the government taxes it so terribly much, like in Colorado, where they have such a high percentage of taxes on there that where some say that was going to get rid of some black markets, and I think it's opened up the opportunity for more black markets because people can still buy it cheaper, behind the pot shop from someone that's a little bit shady as opposed to going in and spending a 300% tax rate on some of this stuff. Is there a better way, or have most states begun to work out the kinks to know that, a happy rate of taxation on something like this to open up the market, to get rid of the black markets, to try and compete against the war on drugs, but yet not try and take advantage of individuals when it comes to the taxes on these things?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a balance, and I think what you're seeing more and more, especially if I can go back to the Northeast again. I mean, last year, the Northeast, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, got together and they said, let's think about creating a law for legal cannabis that's kind of consistent. Let's arrive at kind of core principles so we're not all competing against one another. And taxation was a big part of that, right? We want to tax the product in order to gain some kind of revenues from it because the market is there today anyways, right? It's a $50 billion market that's essentially not getting taxed at all. But if you overtax, you're keeping the illicit market in place. And that really is what has to start transitioning over. So I think we're starting to see proposals with taxation that starts out at a certain level and then dwindles off right in subsequent years. And then the opposite, where it starts low to establish the market and then incrementally adds on, like you'd add on to the price of your product, right? If you're a business that creates a product and you add to that price over years to deal with inflation and things like that.
Sure.
But I do believe the days of big time, huge cannabis taxes are dwindling.
That is good news. I mean, I think that's good for both the user and to kind of balance out the market as well. We got just a couple minutes left before we go, but I want to talk about the taking it to the next level, as some have already talked about the decriminalization of other things. I mean, Colorado's working on, if they haven't done it already, I don't remember, on the magic mushrooms. California was talking about some things, but some of the harder drugs, not necessarily the marijuana being the gateway to them, but kind of that slippery slope of if we legalize one, we need to start working on the others. Washington, D.C. has worked on trying to decriminalize some of psychedelic plants as well. Where are we when it comes to some of the other things that states are working on?
Yeah, very early stage still. I think Oregon this year allowed psilocybin, so the compound in magic mushrooms, to be used for medical research as it comes to severe depression. I'm in Maryland, just outside of the School of Public Health at Johns Hopkins, right? World-renowned medical organization that's doing research on this exact substance and having really, really amazing results when it comes to people who are severely depressed where no other therapeutic has worked. So I think really what it does, if we can go back to just kind of legal and adult use cannabis, it's certainly opening the door a bit to these other substances that potentially have, some kind of significant medical benefit, to allow them to be evaluated and studied under controlled circumstances where, things are safe and, outcomes, really good outcomes could occur.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we need to research these things. I mean, if it does alter the mind in that state, whether it's for the understanding of brain chemicals, whether it's the spiritual understanding for some individuals, that I think that they need to be researched and they need to be opened up to at least start looking at and saying what's really going on here. I know DMT is one of those as well that they're starting to kind of look at because of the effects that it has on the brain, that I find absolutely fascinating. Not that I want it legalized, but I want at least to be able to research to understand it just a little bit more. So I think that's one that we're going to see as things continue to progress on. Tom Carroll, editor and of Cannabis Capitalist, also senior analyst at the Stansberry Research. You can find him online, stansberryresearch.com. Tom, I appreciate it, my friend. Let's do this again real soon. I think it's a great conversation.
Thanks, Andy. My pleasure.
Hey, absolutely. We'll get you back on the show again here real soon. Again, that's Tom Carroll. We appreciate him very much with his time here on the air. We'll take a break, wrap up the show today. Lots more to get to here on The Voice of Reason for a post-Monday celebration.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You're darn right you are. Welcome back into the show. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching or listening. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a post-Monday celebration. Thanks to Tom Carroll coming on the show. The Cannabis Capitalist. He's the editor for that. Also senior analyst at the Stansberry Research. Appreciate his insight. Kind of an interesting conversation. We don't go down that road a whole lot on this show, but I do enjoy that conversation once in a while as we continue to monitor per se, the war on drugs in this nation and where we're going from here when it comes to some of those issues with the cannabis and with the other drugs. It's very fascinating to me. And again, I'm not against the legalization of that stuff. I mean, at least marijuana. The other ones, we don't need a whole bunch of crazy stuff around there for everybody just to do, although they do it already too. So there is the argument for that, but I think it needs to be done in a reasonable way. Look, those types of conversations are fascinating because I think we need to research them more. We need to understand them more, not to legalize to just have everybody run wild with it, but for specific purposes, for medical purposes, for religious and spiritual purposes. And I think we need to have a conversation about some of those drugs and actually what they do to the mind. I mean, they've seen and they've tracked down, what was it, like 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, just different Jewish ceremonies. They found ashes of marijuana at these different services that they would do. So they used them for spiritual reasons for some degree. Shamans across the world would use these certain drugs to be able to talk to God or talk to spirits or have this vision or have the mindset of, your spirit guide or whatever you believe in that's guiding you in that right direction. So I think there's something to them, whether just seeing fancy stars and listening to Smoke on the Water, which I'm just not into that sort of thing. If it's going to be done, it's going to be done with a purpose, not just to go crazy with it and be done with it. But I think that there is a purpose for those things, to understand them and try to research them just a little bit deeper. So I'm all for trying to open it up to research, but the marijuana especially, I'm for it. We just can't allow the government to double in size to regulate it and then tax the you-know-what out of it just because they want to get tax revenue. Are they going to get tax revenue? Sure, they're going to get tax revenue from it, but to tax it a 300% rate like they tried to in Colorado, it's not going to solve anything. It's going to create more issues than what it actually did. It's going to inflate the prices. It's going to inflate real estate. It's going to drive everybody there. Then you're going to pay up the wazoo. You're going to still be buying it off the black market because it's cheaper there, and then it's going to ruin the economy. So I think that bubble is going to burst in Colorado at some degree. So we'll continue to talk about that as we move along. But I appreciate the conversation. Tom Carroll, we appreciate him very much. You can find them online, stansberryresearch.com. Real quickly, the fight continues every single day. No matter what we're doing, no matter how long we try to fight, no matter how tired we get of fighting, we have to continuously fight the good fight. Constitutional principles, traditional values, the family values that seem to be disappearing little by little each and every day. We need to fight them. We need to lead by example, and we need to fight by example. We need to bring the conversation back to the dinner table. We need to educate our young children, which is why, as crazy as this world has been with COVID-19 and some of the homeschooling and the virtual learning that we have, there's an opportunity for us here to teach our children the right way, as I've mentioned before. But the reason I bring it up is because there was a story out of Bloomberg that the FCC chief, Ajit Pai, he's actually from here in Kansas. He's a great conservative, great guy. He was honored to be the chief of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, that regulates radio, that regulates TV, that regulates the internet to some degree. He's the chief of that out of Kansas. And Ajit Pai has been a wonderful FCC chief, I think, for as long as he has. He says that if Joe Biden does end up becoming president, that he will resign and quit January 20. Now, remember, this is the guy who ended net neutrality. Now, they always make these catchy little names for it. If you don't know what net neutrality is, net neutrality was a horrible thing that the Democrats pushed, and we ended up repealing it and getting rid of it. And Ajit Pai was the leader of getting rid of net neutrality because it blocked off a lot of the internet for us to not have a whole lot of accessibility to it because they wanted it neutral, because they wanted to regulate it at the federal level even more so than what they already are. We need to continue the fight even when the odds are stacked against us. Maybe the odds ever be in your favor if you watch that movie. The Hunger Games, if you don't know what that is. Andy, what is that thing? But we need to fight, and just because our guy isn't in, it would make Ajit Pai's job much more difficult, and I don't envy him, and I don't necessarily blame him for wanting to step down in January, because who knows how much he's actually going to be able to get done under his administration as the chief of the FCC, under a Biden administration who wants to counter everything that he's doing, that's going to force him to do stuff that he doesn't like, because essentially the executive branch, the president, is his boss. And he said he'd step down. I really wish he wouldn't, though, because he could fight and at least have an ear in the voice in D.C. trying to whisper on what's good so we can continue to fight and have freedom on our radios, on our TVs, and on the interweb, because who knows what's going to happen once Joe Biden gets in there and starts signing executive order after executive order, because he's going to be that type of tyrant. So keep up the fight. We need to fight whether the odds are against us or not, because that how we're going to win these wars. That does it for us today. Podcast going up in a little bit. More great guests coming up tomorrow on the show. And as always, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. It's the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a great Tuesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.